Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good morning, everybody. So this is a session of these question answers, basically, what we call Ask Swami. We have questions coming in from all over the world, and our intrepid team collates, sifts through those questions and presents a few for discussion in every one of these sessions. So Diane will share with us some of those questions, and then I'll call upon you in the audience here. Those who are interested, you can come forward. You have to come here and ask your question. Tell us your name and ask a question. All right, let's see how it goes. Diane, what do we have for us today?
This question is from Sangamitra Bhattacharjee. Swamiji Pranams. I am a student of psychology. I have come across a psychological ailment known as dissociative disorder. One of the reported symptoms is that one feels they are not the body, as if they are watching their own lives as a movie. You had mentioned about a Swami who had said, when the road outside my window looks like a movie, that day I will know that I am enlightened. So then, is enlightenment just a brain phenomenon? Dr. Jill Bolte, a Harvard-trained neuroanatomist, in a TEDx talk about her brain stroke, clearly speaks about how she had the out-of-body experience and she felt like light, space, and joy, all the experiences that spiritual people talk about. So is it all about the brain? The argument that consciousness is something created in the brain, can it be ignored?
So, I'm not the body, not the mind. I'm pure consciousness. So, is it dissociative disorder? That's the question. Straight away, we can dismiss the idea that it's a disorder. Why? Because the result is not that of a disorder. The result of this is a person becomes a saint. The person becomes enlightened. Person feels, not only feels, lives on that. Otherwise, one might either by a stroke in the brain or like this case she mentioned here. This neurologist, she's a doctor also. So she realized when she had a stroke, she realized what had happened. And then she found that her sense of self dissolved, that the boundary, I'm different from others, that's a dissolved, felt a sense of oneness. Then also a sense of freedom and joy, a light, a spaciousness, something that is reported in mystical experiences. Then she gave a TED talk about it. She wrote a book later also. It's probably the most viewed TED talk online. If you look at it, one of the most, at least, that much I remember. I have seen that TED talk. And later she wrote a book about it. Her thesis being, this is what mystics experience. Now the answer is nuanced here. First of all, a clear no. If it genuinely is a mystical experience, it would have transformed your life. It would have been stable. And it would have transformed your life. You would have become a saint. Swami Vivekananda says that sleep and samadhi are the same. If a fool enters into sleep, comes out a fool. A fool enters into samadhi, comes out a saint. So there's an actual, deep, lasting, transformative thing. You don't have to wait for a brain stroke. Those who simply take, what is this, high on weed or some other psychotropic substance, they also have all kinds of experiences. Sometimes they're awful, but sometimes they're very good. Does that transform them? Does it make them enlightened? Does it make them into a saint? We say, look at the evidence, look at the history of the world and all religions of the world. There have been so many books and books written about the lives of the saints. These substances were not unknown in ancient times. They were there. Equivalents were, many of them are plant-based. So they were there. Now tell me, of all the saints you know in all the religions of the world, across all civilizations, across all of time, just one example of a drug addict becoming a saint. Because, later they might become a saint, but because of the drugs becoming a saint, getting high and then being transformed into a saint. One example, just one example. Although sometimes the experiences are very similar. Why not? Why not? Why can't you take the pharmaceutical route to becoming a saint, to becoming enlightened? Why all this philosophy and meditation and ethical life and all of these struggles, the chariot analogy, the mirror analogy, why all that? Why not just take drugs, get high on weed, and then become enlightened? That sounds much easier. Why doesn't it work? This was the point of a debate between Swami Prabhavanandaji in the Vedanta Society of Southern California and Hollywood and Aldous Huxley, who wrote the book The Doors of Perception. So Aldous Huxley was fascinated with this idea that since these drugs seem to give you that experience, why not take that route? And Swami Prabhavanandaji warned him against it. It can give you certain experiences, but it also disintegrates the personality. It can be addictive, it can be degenerative. Generally, the effect of these drugs on a prolonged basis is never good. It's never good. Never good in the sense, let alone taking one to enlightenment, it's never good in terms of physical and mental health also. That's the data so far. Transformation starts at character level, discipline, focus of mind. I was reading this in the Second World War, on a mass scale, German soldiers in the army and air force and everywhere, they were issued, I forget the name, some kind of methamphetamine or something like that, in order to perform in the war. So they would spend days in a haze, almost like a euphoria, fighting and killing. And concentration also. For hours and hours they could concentrate. So is that equal to training the mindfulness of the mind? No. What happens afterwards when they come crashing down? Do they retain the power to concentrate? No. Do they come down to a normal level? No. When the German, Goering, the chief of the German Air Force, Luftwaffe, when he was arrested by the Allies, it's a fact I came across recently, I didn't know this earlier. He was dragging with him a suitcase with thousands of pills of those methamphetamines. He was addicted to it. I didn't know that. So does that transform them into saints? No. So does it even give you superpowers of concentration, focus, deep meditation? Not even that. It will be lost. The moment you come down from that height, it will be lost. So the yogis, they train the minds, and the minds, they increase the capacity for focus, for concentration. What happened? Some people are, can you hear me? Yes. Some people are born with it. Some people are born with extraordinary powers of focus. I was reading the life of John von Neumann, the physicist, who was right here in the Institute of Advanced Studies in Princeton. So he was remarkable for his extraordinary powers of concentration. Some of his colleagues, they said, they're all Nobel laureates. Einstein, others, Oppenheimer, others, Eugene Wigner, and a number of others. So they said, amongst all of us means many of them were Hungarian. Very interesting. Somebody asked, how is a small Eastern European country, how do they have the best mathematicians and physicists of the world? This is pre-Second World War. And they would joke, the Hungarians would joke, we are not actually from Hungary, we are from Mars. But since the people of Earth are not ready for Martians, we say we are from this obscure little country called Hungary. And they said that group, that extraordinary group of physicists in the 1930s, 40s, they said amongst all of us, we felt there was only one who was awake, truly awake, and that was von Neumann. And this interesting one characteristic I was reading about von Neumann struck me. He had this feeling that he could crack any problem, solve any problem by sheer concentration of mind. One of his childhood friends says that even in school, what Johnny would do, his actual name was Janos. So what he would do is, if you give him a problem, he would turn his face away from you and he'd plunge his face down like this and sit like that for 2 or 3 minutes, just like this, absolutely still with his head down. Then he would come up and give the answer to the problem. He had that ability to become immersed, focus of mind. So, the question, are these disorders? They're not disorders. Some people are born with these extraordinary capacities. You may temporarily boost it with some drugs, which is all the bad effects afterwards. A stroke in the brain might give you some effects because the brain is affected by that. But no, these are not dissociative disorders or any kind of disorders. They are rather the higher reaches of the human mind. The human mind has pathologies, has a narrow band of normal, what we call normal functioning. But there are higher reaches also, higher reaches of the human mind, and spirituality is the highest. Now, the question had two parts. Shall we say that these are dissociative disorders, that I'm not the body, not the mind? Yes, a person who gets a stroke or is feeling high on particular drugs might feel that. But that's not the same as the realization that I'm not the body, the mind, through meditation or through Vedantic inquiry. Notice the Vedantic inquiry, subtle point here, does not even require you to have a new experience. The Vedantic inquiry is an insight into the state of affairs right now. We are actually right now, none of us are literally the body. We are embodied, not literally the body. Just as the passenger is not the chariot. It would be weird to say when you get on an Uber and say that I am the car now. No, you're not the car, you're not the steering wheel, you're certainly not the driver. You're the passenger. But somehow we don't know that. And that knowledge, that insight is given by Vedanta. And that's a great freeing thing. If that insight does not come, even by an experience of dissociation, that I am not the body or the mind, afterwards when you come back to the body, when that experience goes away, you'll be back to square one. You'll just have a remarkable memory of an amazing experience. That's all. You'll say that experience. Vedantic inquiry, once more I'll try. This Vedantic inquiry does not lead to a specific experience. It leads to a specific insight, revealing what already exists. When you feel I am not the body and the mind, you are not the body mind. When you feel you are the body mind, you're still not the body mind. It's a mistake. So that reveals. You don't have to have a special experience to realize I am the passenger, I am not the Uber car. No, it's a fact. That's what Vedanta reveals. And all mystical experiences, yogic experiences can only help that insight. That's all. If one has not cultivated meditation or Vedantic inquiry, even a stroke will not help you. Afterwards also one will again feel I am the body and the mind. Afterwards also. It will not be retained. The second part of the question was, are these products of the brain? Is consciousness a product of the brain? I will not dwell on it. It's the hard problem of consciousness. And that's the big issue in consciousness studies today. You're a student of psychology, the person who has written this question. You just Google it. You'll find the hard problem, an enormous amount of material on it. How can a set of objective processes in the brain produce the subject? Philosophy will say it's a category mistake. And there are many positions on it and many theories. Most theories try to explain it through the brain. Many theories. Robert Kuhn compiled all these theories and classified them in this document, The Landscape of Consciousness. And there he has 325 theories. And recently I heard a talk he had with Rick Archer. There he said now it's up to 400 theories. He said, I had missed a few. People pointed it out from different parts of the world. And Rick Archer asked a question, is there any other phenomenon in the world, scientific phenomenon, where you see this so many possibilities of trying to explain it? He says, no, consciousness is unique that way. We are unable to get a handle on it. Although we should. It's nothing esoteric like, say, black holes or string theory. Not like that. Everybody is conscious. We are all conscious. The data of consciousness is always with us. In fact, that's the primordial data which we have. And yet we can't get a handle on it. Huh?
It's not something that can be studied.
No, it can be studied. It is being studied. That's why you have 400 theories of it. Yeah, it cannot be studied in the sense, it's not an object to be studied. That's another serious problem with it. That you can't study it as an object, because it isn't an object. And most of the theories fail because they try to somehow make it an object. Somehow. And then they study it. Now, on the other hand, one must be honest here, is the brain uninvolved with all this? Does the brain have no role to play? No, that also doesn't seem to be right. So there is a continuum of brain, there's body, nervous system, brain on one hand, and then the mind, and then consciousness. There is a link. The mind operates with the brain. Therefore, whatever is happening in the mind, there will be some correlate in the brain. Whatever is being shown in the brain will have some correlate in the mind in some way. Pure consciousness itself may not be affected by all this, but pure consciousness does illumine all this. And pure consciousness is reflected in the mind as the reflected consciousness. Therefore, answer to the question, experience is like that of the mystic. Will there be correlates in the brain? Yes, if there is something happening in the mind, there will be correlates in the brain. Even for a genuine mystic. This is something that has not been clearly studied, although there are some deep studies on the effects of advanced meditators, meditation on the brain. Buddhist lamas who have meditated for years and decades, Hindu yogis, they have been tested under modern conditions, and they clearly show brain activity which is uniquely different from others, which shows that what's happening in the mind has its correlate in the brain, and therefore if there's some extraordinary experience happening in the mind, there will be a correlate in the brain. That much. Somebody from the...
Is the container?
Container means it's interacting. The mind is interacting with the brain. Brain might be the instrument with which the mind works. In a Vedantic perspective, we have a threefold view of the human personality. The physical body, which includes brain and nervous system. The subtle body, which includes mind, intellect and all that. Mind, intellect, memory, ego, the pranas, the subtle body. And the Atman, or the real self. So the Atman, the real self, is pure consciousness, existence, consciousness, place. The mind is the subtle body, and then the brain and the nervous system is the physical body. But the subtle body doesn't work without the physical body. So it will survive the death of the physical body, but to be active, it needs the physical body.
So it doesn't complement each other?
They complement each other, yes. So somebody, yes, the lady there, please come. You have to come up here and ask the question. Tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Priya. I'm switching from, going to witness consciousness and, being in witness consciousness moment to moment. It's just dissociation in a simple term, seeing it as a movie. And going to the next level of Turiya.
I thought we had abandoned the dissociation theory.
Yeah. So, just being there as a witness to the world you're in, and then moving to that next level of Turiya, Turiyatita. How do you practically go? Is it only through samadhi, or even keeping your eyes open, you can go to that state.
Right. So the question here, it's a good question. So the witness state and then going to the Turiya, you don't actually go anywhere. You are already the witness. You are already the Turiya. When we say I am in the witness state, but it's not a state. When I say I am in the witness state, what I actually mean is I am actually watching now. I am calm and quiet and mindful and watching the sensations in the body, watching the breath, watching the emotions and feelings and memories and ideas bubble up in the mind. Ideally, this is a good meditative exercise. It's an exercise in mindfulness. It's something that the mind is doing. See, if you stop doing it, it will go away. It takes calmness and attention to retain that. That is not at all what Vedanta is talking about. Vedanta is not talking about witnessing. Vedanta is saying that when you are in the frenzy of activity, running the New York Marathon or something, not at all, no philosophical thought no thought in the mind at all. You're exhausted running the marathon. We're in the frenzy of activity in the stock exchange floor, buying and selling shares. Anxiety, intense focus, excitement, fear. At that time also the marathon runner and the stockbroker is the witness. That has to be understood. That is utterly different from the witness state of the mind. Are they mindful? Not at all. They're fully engaged, but they're not mindful about their own experiences. They're focused. One is focused because of enormous physical activity. One is focused because of engagement with buying and selling the stocks and shares. But they are not being mindful about what is happening in the mind, in the body, in the sensation now. Then in what sense is Vedanta saying that you are the witness? Vedanta is saying that you are the witness in the sense that you are consciousness, that you are awareness. Awareness not in the sense of the mind being aware of something or not being aware of something. Awareness in a sense, when that man is running, is that person conscious or not? Yes. Otherwise he would collapse. That person is conscious. That person, Vedanta says he is consciousness. How would you know he's conscious now? Is that person having an experience or not? When you're running in the New York Marathon, is that an experience or not? Of course, it's a very intense experience. The very fact that we are having an experience means that we are conscious. You can't have an experience without being conscious. This table, it's not having an experience. Being a table, as far as we know, it's not conscious, it's not having an experience. But you are sitting right there. The chair you are sitting on is not having an experience of being a chair. But you are sitting right there. You are having an experience right now without being mindful. That experience shows you are consciousness. What is experience? Consciousness plus some object, something to be aware of, gives you an experience immediately. That consciousness which you are, which I am, which everybody is, Vedanta says, you are that choicelessly. Try to be not conscious, you can't be. Even if you fall asleep, according to Vedanta, consciousness is still there. Even in general anesthesia, consciousness is still there. So that's why we are not talking about consciousness in the medical sense. Medical sense, that would be correspond to the reflected consciousness. But as the awareness, in the absolute nothingness of deep sleep, or even deeper, the general anesthesia, that is also an experience. It's an absence of the objects of experience, an experience of absence, not an absence of experience. So you are, that pure consciousness is always there. That's what is called sakshi, witness. What do you have to be to be that? You don't have to do anything. Then what is Vedanta all about? It's coming to recognize that what I just said right now, coming to recognize that and coming to realize I am that. When? Now? Always was, always will be. And that's the state of affairs. That's the fact right now. What I think of myself is a confusion, is a mix-up. This clarity, I am the consciousness and I'm conscious of a mind and the senses and the body, and through this mind, senses and body of a world, this is the state of affairs. What do we usually think? I am the body-mind consciousness. Nobody denies we are conscious. We all say we are conscious. Yes, who denies it? But I am consciousness, mind, body, senses, all together is bundle. No, you are not a bundle. You are a principle. You are consciousness itself. Everything else changes, comes and goes. It's like getting on an Uber and saying, well, yes, I am this passenger, true, but I'm also the Uber. No, you're not the Uber. Even if you're sitting there and the Uber is taking you where you were going, but you're still not the Uber. Even when you're in the Uber. I said, yeah, right. What you're saying is right, but I have to get there. I have to go from being the Uber to being the passenger. No. You have to give up your confusion that somehow you are the Uber. You are the passenger. Whether you're confused or not does not make a difference. The fact is you are the passenger. If you are confused about it, if you somehow, for some strange reason, if we think I am the Uber, then the problem will be the moment it's time to get down, death. I'll be terribly attached to the Uber. I won't let go. I'll have to be dragged screaming and kicking from the Uber. That's craziness. No, I'm not the Uber. You already are the passenger, regardless of being in the Uber. You already are pure consciousness, regardless of being in the mind, senses, and body. This is called witness consciousness. Turiya is just another way of saying it. This witness consciousness, with the mind functioning and the senses functioning, experiences itself as a body in a physical world. This is called the waker. Who is the waker? You, the consciousness. And then when the mind falls asleep, this external world disappears, our connection with the senses and the body is lost. But the mind dreams. It dreams of worlds within itself. World after world comes up. Dream worlds are generated in the mind. That also the consciousness illumines. And you experience yourself in the dream world. There you are called the dreamer. And then everything stops for a while. And the consciousness illumines that stopped state. That is called the deep sleep. And then the consciousness will be called the deep sleeper. Only thing is the waker, it has a sense of self. I am the waker and I experience this world. As the dreamer, your sense of self. I am experiencing this world, which later we will call dream worlds. Only in the deep sleep, because everything is stopped, the instruments have stopped. There's no way of acknowledging I am in deep sleep. If you acknowledge you're in deep sleep, you won't be in deep sleep. But to acknowledge that, the mind has to be active. Now these three, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, they're all that same pure consciousness, which is in respect to 1, 2, 3, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, is called the fourth. Pure consciousness is not the fourth. It is the one appearing as the three. It is gold appearing as a golden necklace, a golden bracelet, and a golden ring. Gold is not a fourth kind of ornament. It is the reality of those three ornaments. Similarly, pure consciousness, the witness, is the reality of the waker, of the dreamer, of the deep sleeper. Also a little further, more difficult to understand. It's not only the reality of the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper. It's also the reality of the waking world, the dream world, and the deep sleep, paused, darkness, seed state. It's the reality of the subject and the object in all these three pairs. So that so-called fourth, Sanskrit word, Turiya. So Sakshi and Turiya are the same, but not in the sense of the mindful witness. The mindful witness is a practice. Yeah. Good, thank you. Yes, the young man there, please come. Tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Aditya Swami. It's a pleasure to be here. I had a question about meditation. I've been doing mantra japa meditation for a few years right now, and one of the major obstacles I'm facing is rising of impurities and bad thoughts, imaginations. It's leading to a lot of suffering. And I wanted to get your thoughts on how to get better.
Don't worry. The fact those things are coming up shows the job mantra is working. Often we get shaken by this. We think, my mind was fine until I started meditating. Now it is disturbed. It's full of bad thoughts, disturbing thoughts. No. The mind was disturbed earlier. We never saw it. All those thoughts were already there in the mind. You didn't invent it. They were there already, packed in the mind. They're now just being exposed for the first time. One of the immediate benefits of meditation is a recognition of the state of our minds. I should add the sorry state of our minds. We feel fine. Sit quietly in meditation for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. At the very least, we'll come out of it a more humble person. You'll realize, oh my God, this is my state. A mantra, can't hold on to it for 1 minute. Swami Sarvapriyananda ji says, he's quoting that book, Sermon on the Mount according to Vedanta, where Jesus says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Now, Swami Sarvapriyananda says, how will we know that we are not pure? I might say, I'm pure in heart. Why don't I see God? It's a good test, immediate test. Take a thought. It could be the name of God. It could be any thought. Sit quietly, focus on it. Think about it for 1 minute, just 1 minute. You'll find something else has intruded. See, just stay with this interesting phenomenon. I have decided I will think about this, my mind, one simple thought for 1 minute. 1 minute I will think about it. And I can't. In that a couple of times, 2-3 times, something else will come in. Why? Should be the easiest of things, my own mind and a simple thought for only 1 minute. Why? Vivekananda says the difference between an ordinary person and great person lies in the degree of concentration. Concentration then depends on purity of mind. That's why this simple saying, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Pure in heart, chitta shuddhi, purification of the basement of the mind. All clutter is in the basement of many lifetimes, packed layer after layer after layer. The Hercules cleaned the stables. That's the meaning. The stables they are there in everybody's minds. The lower realms of our minds, where the interpreted Freud went in with a flashlight and poked around. And it's there. I remember one monk long ago. I was a newcomer and just joined the order as a brahmachari. He was telling me, it was evening. We were sitting in his room and he looked at me. He was a little dramatic. It was this imposing, powerful figure. And in the low light of that room, it was evening and all the monks in the monastery were meditating. I was a guest, so he had to talk to me. I had come from another monastery. And he said, the door was open, it was utter darkness outside. And the whole monastery was in silence because everybody was meditating. And he said, there, the door. I looked, what? Just outside that door, there are lions and tigers growling and gnashing their teeth. They're right there. What he meant was, just below the conscious layer of the mind, there are powerful forces. Freud was not wrong. He discovered some of that. It's there, layer after layer. In the histories of the early Christian saints, the desert fathers, you'll find something interesting, that they're always fighting with demons. But the demons are products of our own minds. They're fighting with those demons. They've taken over. If you flow along with life, you'll never notice them. If you try to be mindful, try to repeat a mantra, try to focus, stay in the mind, within the mind, and try to introduce a high thought there, what will happen? The thought will get kicked out. The mind will not tolerate. There are pre-dwellers in the mind from ancient times. They will not tolerate it. There's one Swami Sarvapriyananda, he had this remarkable way of explaining this. He said, it's like this. We think it's my mind. I can think whatever I want. What's wrong? Well, try. He says, it's like You send your friend wants to go to the city and says, you have an apartment there, can I stay in your apartment? And you says, of course you can. Here's a letter to the caretaker. Here's my friend, let him stay in my apartment for a few days. You go and show this to the caretaker. So your friend goes to the apartment, rings the bell, and this rather rough looking character comes out and says, yeah, so I want to stay here. The owner has said I can stay. Your friend shows that. And that guy, he takes it and tears it into pieces, and few other rough characters come out and pick up your friend and throw him out on the street. Will you still say it's your apartment? Technically it is. It's out of your control now. The people who are squatting there, and they're the rough kind of people. We have invited them over time in past lives. They are existing there. Now, what the japa is doing, the mantra japa, never fear. It's a very powerful instrument. The fact that they are coming out, as they are coming out, they are being cleansed. They are being cleansed. Yeah. One Swami, he used a modern example. He said, never fear. All those files in the trash, they are being deleted. As they are coming up, they're just being deleted. But how long will it take? It might take a long time. But you are making progress. So what do? The moment thoughts come up, whatever thought, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, back to the mantra. The Guru has told you to repeat the mantra, not to dwell on what comes up from the bottom of the mind. So when it comes up from the bottom of the mind, let it take care of itself. Back to the mantra. And be happy it has come up because it's being deleted. And that's a good example.
It's not necessarily just through the repetition, but throughout the day.
Yes.
And is there any way to deal with that and get back to normal and get that purity of mind?
Hold on to you are getting the purity of the mind. It's like they said earlier, there used to be fountain pens, ink, and the ink well or the ink bottle, there used to be a lot of encrusted ink at the bottom. And if you put hot water into it, suddenly you will find it'll boil up dark. But if you keep putting hot water into it, slowly after time, the water will become clearer and clearer until it's just clear water which comes out. Exactly like that. So keep at it. And whenever it troubles you throughout the day, back to the mantra. And remember, it's all being deleted. Good way is to keep the mind engaged in work. Ma Sharada used to say, my daughter, Kaj Lokhi, work is Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, of well-being in this world. Keep the mind engaged in work. Whatever work it is, no matter how humble, how important, how unimportant, work. If the body is engaged, if the senses are engaged, the mind will also be engaged. Idle mind, devil's workshop. All the little devils will come up. The little devil, let me tell you this story. I really like it. It's an old story. I forgot the name of the author. It's actually a very old story. And I thought it was a short story, but then I looked it up. It's an old Christian tale of this, it's probably Saint Andrew or some saint, who would fight with demons. And the tale is that of all the demons sent by Satan to torture the saint, there was one demon who was a little low down in the ranks. He was a little demon. He was not particularly powerful. But anyway, he also was in the team to torture the saint. And he saw the saint battling with the other demons. And he saw the saint would sit in the cave and meditate and pray. And every day, he would not even go out to beg for his food, as other of the desert fathers did. A crow would come flying and drop a piece of bread. And the saint would eat that. The little demon was very impressed by this. So at one time, the saint overcame all the demons, and then he attained to glory. He passed away. And all the demons, they were defeated and they went back to hell. But the little demon didn't go back to hell. It was so impressed by the saint, it stayed in the cave. And just like the saint used to meditate and pray and weep for God, it began to do that. And did it, would not go out to eat. I don't know if demons eat, but didn't go out to eat. No crow came with bread for it. So it stayed in the cave, it persevered, the little demon, and it starved and became weaker and weaker, I guess littler and littler. But it kept on praying and weeping till one day a crow came and dropped the piece of bread. That was the end of the story. The seed, how it has been transformed. Hold on, you will see suddenly it will be done. It's very good that you are holding on to the mantra and doing japa.
Is there like a certain threshold of like lacks of japa or anything where the mind gets...
It'll happen. It'll happen. You have already crossed the threshold just because of all the disturbances which are coming up. This is good.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yes, a question. To pull it close.
Yeah, I think it's okay. This is from Surab from Chicago. If experience is dependent on consciousness, isn't awareness also dependent on experience? Can we ever be aware and not have an experience at the same time? Even during meditation, when activities of mind end, it is still an experience. By the logic presented in Mandukya, doesn't this make experience as the reality and awareness a dependent reality and hence false? Awareness makes experience false, and experience makes awareness false. How can this be explained?
This is how the intellect gets caught up in tangles of its own creation. But no, this is actually a very sophisticated observation, I will say. And let me take up 3 ancient philosophies which had something to say about this observation. Sankhya, Madhyamaka Buddhism, and Advaita Vedanta. All right. So what was the observation? The observation was awareness or consciousness. It generates experience. When something comes to awareness, we have experience. So awareness plus an object creates experience. There is no possibility of having awareness without an experience. When there are objects present, we have experience. If no objects are present, if you're sitting quietly, you are not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, no objects of senses are present, you have shut down the mind through meditation, or in deep sleep, when your nature has shut it down for you. Even then, awareness illumines the absence of everything. That's also kind of experience. We just said it's an experience of absence. So there's never possible to have awareness without experience. It's an experience. So can we say in that case that experience depends on awareness depends on experience, and then he brings in something from Vedanta which says a dependent reality is always false. So awareness depends on experience for its existence. It's false. No. The answer is no. First, let's take up Sankhya. No, let's first take up Madhyamaka Buddhism, Shunyavada Buddhism, which says more or less what you are saying. More or less, not exactly. What it says is, there can be no awareness without an object and no object without an awareness. How? Look to your experience. Always keep in mind the equation. Awareness plus object is equal to experience. Notice, whenever we are aware of the world, first awareness is there and we are aware of the world. But we cannot say I was aware before that. It's only when there is an object to be aware of, then I notice I'm not only aware of the object, which is called experience, but I'm also aware of myself, that I am there as awareness. Are we following? Awareness plus object is equal to experience. Chaitanya plus drishya is equal to anubhava in Sanskrit. So awareness plus object is equal to experience. In every experience, when you're seeing something, hearing something, thinking of something, enjoying something, eating something, suffering something, everywhere something, object is there. If nothing, then nothing itself becomes an object. We have an experience of nothing. Deep sleep, samadhi, it's there. So both rise and fall together. This is more or less what he's saying. Yes, you can stay there if you want. But what do the Madhyamaka Buddhists say, Shunyavada, what they say? That this state of affairs is the Buddha nature itself. A subject and an object rising together and falling together. All right. Keep it there. Not that there is nothing. If you say then it's all false, there's nothing. All false cannot be possible. False means that there is some truth. What is falsity? A misrepresentation of the truth. The whole universe cannot just be false and there's no truth at all. That's not possible. You can't have only fake currency. The very idea of fake currency means that there is some truth somewhere. There's some real currency somewhere. So, niradhara brahma, error without ground is not acceptable. Navayam angi kurma, we do not accept. Nobody accepts. It's not logical. That there is only error, only mistake, only nothing, only falsity, only illusion, no reality. That's not possible. There must be something which is being mispresented, and that's called the falsity. Lie means that there is a truth. Otherwise, a lie would not be a lie. Lie about what? So, the falsity is a dependent reality itself. Only thing is, the Madhyamaka Buddhists will not tell you that the ground is the Buddha nature, that the ground is pure consciousness or pure being. They will not tell you that. There's a reason why they will not tell you. Because if you state it in language, it becomes false. That's why they refuse on matter of principle to tell you that. But they are very careful. If you say that, then you are saying there's nothing true at all. So no, we did not say that. Then you say, oh, there is something true then. No, we did not say that. Whatever you say is false. They say, shunyata sarva drishtinam, the emptiness of all views. Then Nagarjuna was asked, if there's emptiness of all views, then this is your view. Your view is also empty then? Nagarjuna's answer is very indicative, is very perceptive. He says, if I had a proposition, you could negate that proposition. You could say it's empty. But since I have no proposition, I have nothing to say to you. You can't say that I'm wrong. If I say something, you can prove it that it's false or absurd. That's the thesis of Nagarjuna. Whatever you say is absurd. It's false. It's empty. There's a technical meaning of emptiness. But he has name asti pratigya. I have no proposition to prove. Therefore, you cannot say my proposition is empty because I don't have any. Then what are you doing? Whatever you say, I'll prove you wrong. That's my position. There's a technical term for this in Indian philosophy. It's called vitanda. So this is the Shunyavada view, the emptiness school, the Madhyamaka Buddhist view. Remember, the takeaway from that is not what he was saying, that awareness is false and experience is false because awareness cannot exist without experience, experience cannot exist without awareness. No, the falsity of both points to an underlying reality, except it's not said. This is number one. Number two, the Sankhyan will come and say that, no, you're mistaken here. Awareness is not dependent on experience. Experience is dependent on awareness. It's only when an object is presented to awareness or removed from awareness that you have an awareness generates an experience. What is the proof of this? Note, awareness does not change. Experience keeps changing. How do you prove that? Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, they would have said awareness and experience are rising and falling together. Awareness and object are rising and falling together. How are you saying awareness is constant? Well, when the object disappears, then there's nothing. But you yourself said that nothing is also experienced. That means awareness is there. That means awareness is constant. When an object is there, awareness is there. When an object is not there, awareness is there. And it is the same awareness because you cannot admit change in awareness. Any change, it will be an objective change. The objects keep changing. What would it even mean for awareness to change? If awareness, a change in awareness is understood, known, then you have objectified it. So only objects keep changing. Therefore, that explains why experiences are different from each other. Because the objects of experience are changing. Therefore, experience is also changing. But awareness is constant. If awareness is constant and the objects are coming and going, then you cannot say awareness depends on the object or on the experience. Rather, the experience depends on the awareness to illumine those changing objects. So, Sankhya says awareness is real, objects are also real, and experience is also real. But awareness is distinct from the objects and you are awareness. Sankhya. What does Advaita say here? Advaita goes one step further and says, what is the relationship of the awareness to the objects? The objects of awareness are also nothing other than awareness appearing to itself as its own object. It's like looking at your face in the mirror, except the mirror is also in the dream. Suppose you look at your face in the mirror in the dream. The mirror is also a product of the mind. The face seen in the mirror is also a product of the mind. In fact, the face also is a product of the mind in the dream. So it is awareness alone which appears as its object. Then it becomes a knower of that object, producing an experience. Non-duality of the awareness. The Advaitin says, when you look into a mirror, there is actually not two. There is not a real face and a reflected face. There is only one, your own face. It is experienced as a reflected face, and then you become the original of the reflected face. But by itself, only the face is there. There is no reflection, and there is no original face, no reflected face. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. One more question.
Can we take the question from the 15-year-old girl?
Okay.
Yes. Sarada asks, as a school student, I just wanted to understand something about life. Everyone talks about maintaining the first rank and always being the best, and we keep running after it. But is this really the life we ought to live, only competing with others? It feels like if we don't maintain our position, society will eliminate or ignore us. This is the kind of pressure most students face all the time. I just want to know what our real motive in life should be and how we can find peace while fighting these thoughts.
It's a good question. It's a very practical question. Often kids are put under a lot of pressure by parents, by teachers, and for good reason also, because the system, the society is like that. The parents and teachers are also caught up in the system. They can't help it. Now, competition. And these children are being crushed by competition. But as she said, will this give me peace? It won't. If it's not giving me peace now, it will not give me peace later. Even if you are first in the class and you maintain a good rank for years to come, have you noticed the bird which sits on the tallest building, on the spire of a building, is always unstable. It's a struggle to stay up there. Why are you sitting there? And even if you win the race, the winner of the rat race is a rat. You still are a rat if you win the rat race. Competition, before I go ahead, let me say one word about competition. Competition is not bad in itself. If you look up the etymology of the word competition, what does it originally mean? The original roots, com, in Latin, it means together. To compete means to excel together. So if I run a race and nobody else is running, I can saunter to the end of the race. But if I have a few other people running and all trying to go ahead of me, it makes me perform much better than I would do by myself. So I can develop myself and reach to heights of excellence which I would not have unless my friends, my brothers and sisters were with me, competing with me, together with me, striving for excellence. That's a much better understanding of competition than going ahead of others, being first. So if I'm competing with others, I'm always bettering myself. Doesn't matter if I'm first or second or third. Just by competition, I have done better than I usually would. Therefore, and I also don't dislike others. They are helping me. So in that sense, competition is good, but not always trying to be first and pushing everybody else down and then becoming depressed if you're not first or among the toppers in the school. I know that sort of mentality, having come from that background myself. We know that. You will not get peace that way, nor get happiness. It's short-sighted. It wears you out. It distorts the character. It damages the mind also and the emotions. Rather, one gets peace by being a better person, a bigger person, a greater person. The expansion of the self is life. Contraction is death. Vivekananda says. The more I am for others, the bigger I am. At school, at home, at work, wherever. If I make myself useful, if I think for others, feel for others. Vivekananda said the heart is the most important. He said, feel like a Buddha, you will be a Buddha. Feel like a Christ, you will be a Christ. Vivekananda said that. The development of the heart is most important. So that's one key factor in happiness. The more I feel for others, the more I am for others, the more I am of service and use to others, the more happier I will be. Then, focus, concentration. By intense focus, when I do something meaningful, that makes me happy. So even in your studies, those things which you like, when you do that for long hours intensely, you find you're more integrated, a better person at the end of it. Not by grinding just because I have to be first, and I'm grinding at my schoolwork hour after hour because my parents are insisting on it or the teachers insist. That is kind of soul destroying. But because I love it, I enjoy it. And yes, for generating a certain kind of work ethic or discipline, that makes me a better person, a stronger person, and a happier and more peaceful person. Another thing, resilience. It is something very important always in this day and age. One saint, he's a Vaishnava saint. He said, very interesting thing he said. He said, one lesson I learned long ago in my life when I was a young monk, only in my early 20s. He said, I learned it from a drunkard. He says, one day, this was in the city of Benares, this monk, young monk, he was on the bank of the river and then he saw a drunkard coming towards him. And this drunkard said, hey you, come, follow me. And the monk said, I was adventurous, I was young, foolish. So I said, let's see what happens. I followed him. And this drunkard was quite tipsy. He took me to a temple where there were marble images of Krishna and Radha and others. And he says, what do you see? And this monk said, the Lord, God. What are they made of? Marble. And this floor, what's it made of? Marble. And then the drunkard said to this young monk, he says, you know why it is so? How did that marble become God? How did this marble become the temple? Because it withstood blow after blow after blow of the architect, of the artisan, and shaped it into this fine image. It did not shatter, did not break. Similarly, this temple, thousands of people walk back and forth, does not shatter, does not break. Therefore, I say unto you, these marble, these stones, the image, all of it is telling us again and again, never break. All your life, never break. So this monk said, that happened decades ago. And I bowed down to the drunkard. I said, the Lord has come in your form and has given me a formula which I will hold on to. I promise you, I will hold on to it for the rest of my life. Never break. What a great mantra. He said in Hindi, Tootna mat. Somebody said that you had told a story about a drunkard teaching your guru as a drunkard. He said, this is the story. It actually happened. And the drunkard told it in some thought had come. Never break. He said, yes, you are my guru. You have given me this great mantra. Never break. What a wonderful story I heard. So these are the things which will give us peace and happiness in mind. Becoming a better person, a focus on a meaningful thing in life, concentrated endeavor in a meaningful high pursuit in life. And I must say, and never break, resilience. Somebody said, this is called in modern psychology, resilience. I am not interested in how high a ball goes, but interested in how it bounces when it hits the bottom. When it hits the bottom, do you bounce back? When nobody can defeat you, life cannot defeat you. Have that kind of attitude. And I must say, ultimately, it is devotion, faith in God, spirituality, the spiritual quest. Who am I? What is God? Can it be realized? This is the one which genuinely gives us deep, lasting peace. Even the quest itself gives us peace. It gives us meaning in life, happiness in life. One last question from somebody. Yes, Bill. We give Bill the last word.
Careful, Bill, because it's a bit wobbly.
You've said my name. I'm Bill. In the gospel, over and over again, Ramakrishna repeats this prayer, and I want you to explain it. The prayer is, Mother, here is purity, here is impurity. Take them both, but give me pure love for thee. Here is dharma, here is adharma. Take them both and give me pure love for thee. Here is truth. No, here is virtue, here is vice. Take them both and give me pure love for thee. What does this mean?
Yes. Notice he said that I could never say, here is truth and here is falsity. Take them both and give me pure love. No. One thing he could not give up was truth. So these are the two ways of looking at spirituality. One is the way of love, bhakti. One is the way of knowledge, truth. And these are the two things, they are actually not two. They are one and the same. Truth is love, love is truth. They cannot be separated. I'll tell you how they cannot be separated. But ultimately, all of this is meant for getting that pure love for God. All spiritual practices, all rituals, all chanting, all meditation, all scriptural study, all repetition of the mantra is for the beginning, the blossoming of this genuine love of God. This is called pure love. One is the love for God, we want something in exchange. That's not bad. But there the love is for something else. Swami Vivekananda calls it a kind of shopkeeping in love. But here is love for God and I don't want anything else in exchange. I just want to love God. That's all I want from God. I don't even want moksha, liberation. If God wants to give me that, fine. If God wants to keep me here, fine. I want to love unconditionally. So that is one side of spiritual life. And the other side is the only thing that he could not give up. That is truth. The nature of the ultimate reality in Vedanta is truth, sat, existence itself. That you cannot give up. And they are one and the same. I'll say how they are one and the same. But before that, one more word. This virtue and vice, this purity and impurity, these are the ways to go to that love. So I go from impurity to purity to love of God. From vice to virtue to love of God. But from that perspective, both of them are not necessary. Does that mean that the lover of God can be sinful? Never. Will be virtuous. Does that mean the lover of God can be impure? No, will be pure. But is not aiming at purity. Is aiming at love. Automatically purity comes and impurity goes away. Automatically virtue comes and vice goes away without trying. So that is the beauty, the power of bhakti. Now, one monk explained how this love and truth are the same. Knowledge and devotional. It usually does not seem to be the same. It seems that Sri Ramakrishna, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he has said, aim of human life. In two ways he has said. One, he has said God realization. Another way he has said to attain bhakti, love of God. That seems a little strange to us because the way we think about it is love of God leads to God. So love of God is for the sake of God realization. It's a way to attain God realization. Meditation is a way to attain God realization. Knowledge is a way to attain God realization. Bhakti is a way to attain God realization. Karma is a way to attain God realization. So why would he say that bhakti alone of all of these is the goal, not a way? That is the beauty of bhakti, that it is both a way and the goal. Let me explain it in 2 steps. One is a preliminary thing. All the others are abandoned when the goal is reached. When you reach your destination, you don't stay on the path. You have reached the destination. When you cross the river, you don't stay in the boat. You let go of the boat. You let go of the vehicle, the instrument. You realize. Upanishads say, Yatra Veda Veda Bhavanti. Having realized which, even the Vedas become no Vedas. Because you have realized the truth. So you let go of the way when we reach the destination. But very interestingly, bhakti you don't let go. The love of God. Now will you ever say, I love God and loved until suddenly God revealed himself or herself or itself to me? And now I don't need to love God anymore because I've got it. What happened to the great lover of God? Oh, he found God, therefore doesn't love anymore. No, it doesn't happen that way. Among all of these, it is love which keeps on increasing. Having attained the beloved, love keeps on increasing. Endlessly so. Why? Why is it different from the others? How is it that love is the goal itself? This great teacher of the Bhagavatam and a knowledge of Vedanta, he explained very beautifully. He said, it is said in the Bhakti Shastras, in the texts dealing with love of God, the Lord controls everything. God is the master of, that's how God is defined. Ishvara, the Lord of everything, the controller of everything, the master of everything in the universe. Only one thing can control the Lord, can bring the Lord under your control. That is love. If you love God, God comes under your control. That is the reason that pure love, that what she's asking, the pure love of God, unconditional love of God, God doesn't want to give that. There's a song which Ramakrishna loved singing, which the meaning of the words, a Bengali song, meaning of the words is, I'm not miserly about giving moksha, liberation, but I'm miserly about giving love. Mukti dite kator noi, bhakti dite kator hoi. This is a Bengali song. Sri Ramakrishna loved singing that. Because God is miserly about giving that. Why? Because God doesn't want to come under your control. If one genuinely loves God without the slightest shred of any personality, any individuality, any want for oneself, then God comes under it. God follows such a person. And God doesn't want to do that. Who wants to be under control of somebody else? So God wants to hide that. He says, you want enlightenment, you want to realize you're Brahman, you want to be one with infinity? Yes, good. Thank God. Dismiss that fellow with that. Okay, this is one level. The second, the deeper level explanation. Why? How is it one? What is love? This is all what the teacher told me. What is love? We generally think love is a movement in the mind. It's a feeling. But all movements in the mind is part of Prakriti, of nature. Body is part of nature, mind is part of nature, and all of nature is under the dominion of the Lord. God is the controller of nature. God is not controlled by nature. Therefore, a movement of the mind, which is a product of nature, cannot control God. See, love controls God, you are saying. So then, this pure love cannot be a product of the mind. Is it the power of God? Why this question arises, this is from Vaishnava theology. According to the Vaishnavas, God has certain powers, shaktis. And one of those powers is the power of delight. It's called Ladini Shakti, the power of delight. And the embodiment of that power of delight, this is all the Vaishnava theology. And the embodiment of that power of delight is Radha. Krishna and Radha in Vrindavan. Radha is the power of Krishna. But what power? A specific power, the power of delight. So Radha delights in God. So is pure love that one? Because Radha had pure love for God. No, not even that. Why? Because even a Shakti belongs to the possessor of Shakti, Lord Shaktiman, the one who wields that power. So Radha belongs to Krishna. It's a Shakti of Krishna. Even that is not pure love. Radha had pure love, But that Radha is the Shakti of Krishna. What is that pure love which Radha had? The pure love which Radha had is not the same as Radha. Radha is the one who manifested that pure love. It's the Shakti of Krishna. So going further, the Shakti is also not, pure love is not even the Shakti of the Lord. Then there's only one option left. Only one option, a most startling option. Pure love must be Krishna. Love must be God. The only thing that can control God is God. So pure love must be God, mathematically. And that's very startling. We started with thinking that pure love must be a very high kind of feeling. No, it can't be a feeling, because a feeling is in the mind. It's a product of the mind. The mind is a product of nature. Nature is one of the powers of God. Is it one of the higher Shaktis of God, which is like Radha, Ladini Shakti, the power of delight? Not even that, because that's also under the domain of God. The beauty of that, of the Radha Krishna episode is Radha reflects Krishna back to him. In Vedanta, this would be Satchidananda, Brahman, Ananda, which is Brahman, which is the ultimate reality. That manifests as pure love, as bhakti, as prema in the spiritual seeker. So this is the theology behind it. Therefore, now we suddenly realize what Sri Ramakrishna meant when he said the aim of life is God realization, number one. The aim of life is bhakti, pure love. Why? Because the two are same. God realization and pure love are one and the same thing, because that pure love is God. Do you see the chain of reasoning here? It's a logic of love. It's not the logic of Vedanta. But it reveals a most profound secret, a most delicate secret, is that that love is God. It's like a rhetoric we use sometimes, a slogan, love is God. But logically doesn't make sense. Love is a feeling. God is not a feeling. God is the ultimate reality. But Vedanta, this analysis shows that ultimate reality and the pure love of God are one and the same thing. Therefore, when Sri Ramakrishna says, give me pure love, take thy virtue and thy vice, take thy impurity and purity, give me pure love, he's basically asking Mother, yourself, what you truly are. That's why he couldn't say, here is truth and falsity, take them both. No, truth he cannot give up. That truth, that pure love are one and the same. That bhakti and that Brahman are one and the same.
The original audio for the following question and beginning part of Swamiji's answer was unfortunately lost. Please accept our sincere apologies. The question was from Kirtiraj Bhattacharjee. He asks, I have a conceptual doubt regarding the famous chariot analogy of the Katha Upanishad and its interpretation from an Advaitic standpoint, for which I seek your guidance. Traditionally, the Upanishad presents the Atman as the lord of the chariot, Buddhi as the charioteer, mind as the reins, senses as the horses, and sense objects as the paths. Recently, while reflecting on this analogy through the lens of Chidabhas Vada and Drigdrishya Viveka, I considered an alternative framing. I viewed the Atman as the sun, self-luminous consciousness, the Antakarana as a mirror, and the empirical sense of self as the reflected consciousness, Chidabhas, with agency and doership belonging only to the reflection, not to the sun itself. Would such an interpretation be considered valid within Advaita Vedanta as a higher order explanatory model, complementing the Katha Upanishad's pedagogical allegory? I would be deeply grateful for your clarification on whether the synthesis is philosophically sound and textually appropriate.
Look at the chariot. So, the chariot is used, as he has pointed out, as a pedagogical tool. Pedagogy means to teach, as a tool for teaching. How is it used? If you see the Katha Upanishad, what is said after introducing the chariot, what is said afterwards? 3 levels of practice are introduced. Sadashwa, it says if the horses are trained, disciplined, then the passenger, the chariot will reach the goal. If the horses are not disciplined, if they run riot, if they run wherever they wish, then you're going to crash. You'll not reach the the destination. Yes, because the horses have their own autonomy. That's where it's not so much like a vehicle. A vehicle is much more mechanical. The body is not like that, nor is the senses, nor are the mind like that. They have their own energies and autonomy. So they may run this way or that way. They seem to have been infused with intelligence, artificial intelligence, more like it. So each has its own inbuilt intelligence. Now, so the senses need to be trained. Self-control, that's the first discipline. Without that, spiritual life is not possible. In fact, no life is possible. Self-control, restraint, impulse control, what is today's psychologists call postponement of gratification. Yes, it's a very good term. The senses want to be gratified. They want to eat. But postponement is necessary. Otherwise, if they're continuously let you run riot, they are instruments. They will do what they want, but then the passenger will not reach the goal. The chariot will crash. Second, so discipline of senses, first spiritual practice, ethical practice. Second, mind. What level of practice, or what kind of practice is necessary at the level of the mind? Mindfulness. It's so interesting. Today it's such a popular term. Thousands of years ago in the Katha Upanishad, exactly that term was used. Samanaska. Samanaska. Samanaska means mindful. Literally, if you translate it, it's mindful. So what the mind needs is focus. A mind which is not focused, which does not have the power to concentrate, does not have the power to hold on to its content, that will not serve its purpose. Whatever the teaching, it's like a leaky pot. It'll leak out. Whatever the teaching. So the mind must be focused enough to hold on to that. Swami Vivekananda says the greatest power that we have is the concentration of the mind. The difference between an ordinary person and a great person lies in the degree of concentration. Vivekananda gave tremendous emphasis on the concentration of mind. And today we see its relevance with the modern technologies, social media and all that, and now AI is coming in. Our focus, concentration, power of attention is constantly getting fragmented, constantly dissipating. And with that goes the power of our minds. It's interesting. Now all these teachings, a lot of which were secret and rarely available in ancient times. All these Upanishads and Vedanta, we are talking about it, openly available online and everything. It was not so earlier. Many of these things were within a particular culture, and within that culture also limited to a few people who would not easily give it out to everybody. But they did it, and those people, few who were qualified, practiced and attained. And now it's poignant to see that this knowledge, these teachings are freely available all over the world. We need not look for more esoteric, more sophisticated, more secret teachings. Some of the most profound teachings are freely available. Alas, we have lost the capacity to absorb and assimilate those teachings. To live it, we are unable to live it because the mind has become, it's like the steering. If it comes loose in your hand, disaster. Unless it's a Tesla which will drive itself. The steering has come loose in your hand, it's a disaster. Now they tell me that even the self-driving cars, at least the Tesla kind of cars, those who have self-driving features, they make sure that you are awake and your hands are on the wheel. They will vibrate and they watch your eyes, their cameras, which will see. Make sure that your hands, even in a self-driving feature, they want your hands on the wheel. Similarly, the mind should be under our control. So, mindfulness, very important. Ethical life, mindfulness, important for any pursuit in life. Not just spirituality, not just meditation, enlightenment. That is, of course, the highest goal. When you want to make $1 million on Wall Street, yes, you have to concentrate. You have to get your life in order to focus completely on that task. Whether you want to get a degree at Columbia or make $1 million at Wall Street, whatever. Let alone meditation, spirituality. Then the third level of practice, the driver. The driver is the charioteer, the driver, the intellect. What is the level of, what is the sadhana, what is the practice for the intellect? Knowledge, of course. The intellect does only one thing, knowledge. Vijnanavan Sarathi, the term used in the Upanishad, Vijnanavan Sarathi, the intellect infused with, soaked in, immersed in Vedantic knowledge. That I am not the body, not the mind, not repeating it like a mantra, understanding it, getting clarity. The intellect must have clarity and conviction. So these three levels of practice, discipline, and that includes purity of mind, otherwise senses cannot be disciplined. Then focus, attention, and then knowledge. In Vedantic terms, dharma, upasana, jnana. These three levels of practice. So you see the chariot analogy, as you said, he has written that it's pedagogical. It is very good for teaching all. A lot of these things you can't do with the mirror analogy. And the mirror analogy, what you can do is at most you can say the mirror is dirty, you can scrub it. But these details of practices you won't get there. Swami Vivekananda uses the mirror analogy. He says all we can do is scrub the mirror, is polish the mirror, he says. Yes. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanam Astu.